Hey Wranglers, so how you doing? I've been asked to give an update on my health by a couple of people, so I'm going to do that. But first of all, I'd like to remind you I've got like and subscribe if you feel like it, and I've got PayPal links and a Patreon link if you want to contribute that way. I'd appreciate it. Anyway, enough of that. Let me tell you what was going on. For those of you who don't know, about about February 17th, I had a stroke. Okay, and I was in the hospital for about 3.5 months. And I got out of the hospital and I was recovering here. Now, about a month ago, I went to the doctor and I did some routine blood work. This is kind of follow-up stuff for when you get out of the hospital. They check on you. Well, it turns out my hemoglobin was low. So I took the blood tests in the afternoon, and the doctor said if there's any issue, I'm going to call you today in the afternoon, before I go home. And I'm like, all right. So my wife and I are cruising around. We get back home and he calls and says, yeah, your hemoglobin's low. You got to go to the ER and tell them. And I'm like, okay. So I look at my wife. My wife looks at me. And the ER I'd like to go to is about 45 minutes away. It's the hospital I stayed at with my stroke. They have all my records. They know me, all that kind of thing. So I said, like, she and I just were like, you know what? We're going to go in the morning. We're not going to waste time going tonight. It's whatever it is, it can wait till the morning. And with the hemoglobin, and so we did. We waited to the morning. I got there. They took my hemoglobin. It was very low, and they admitted me immediately, and I was there for a week. But let me give you some details of what stupid thing I did. When he said go to when your doctor calls you and tells you to go to the ER, go to the ER when he tells you. My hemoglobin was basically at 5. If your hemoglobin drops below 5, your heart stops and you don't get oxygen anywhere you don't have enough oxygen in your blood to supply your brain or anything else, and basically you're beginning to shut down. You're not beginning, you're shutting down, you're dying. My hemoglobin was at 5, and I didn't know what this meant, but I got there and they took it seriously. They put me in the hospital room. They did some tests. They started a blood transfusion on me. They started me with some fluids. I think plasma or something. I don't remember exactly what, but and some iron infusions. They started that process, and then it wasn't too long after that. Later in that day, they started giving me blood in a bag and trying to bring my hemoglobin up. And when I had gotten in there, the nurse, one of the nurses that admitted, she goes, "Yeah, you'd lost half your blood." And I was kind of laughing. I was thinking that was kind of hyperbole, exaggeration. But no, I had been bleeding internally, and I had lost about half my blood. Now I was bleeding out the booty, which is no fun to say. But I didn't know this because I hadn't eaten in 4 days. That's why we went and got checked. It just hurt to eat, and I wasn't hungry, and so I was taking lots of Pepto and stuff like that to try to soothe my stomach. And if you've ever taken Pepto before, it makes your shit black, okay? And or your doo doo black, or however you want to say it. And that's the same way that blood in your doo doo looks. So I had been checking. I didn't know, wasn't particularly checking for that, but I just go, it's black because of the not hemoglobin, because of the Pepto. Well, I get in there. They give me the actual test to see if there's blood in my stool, and yeah, there was. I was bleeding internally. So they had me hooked up to machines and bags of crap and stuff like that. They had to do an endoscope on me to find out why I was bleeding internally. So I think it was the next day they knocked me out and they put me under and they put a thing down my throat. They found the problem. A lot of my blood vessels in my stomach had burst and needed to be cauterized and fixed. This was because of a blood thinner they had put me on. It was just too much of the blood thinner, and it made those walls of those blood vessels very thin and made those blood vessels very delicate, and that's why I had been bleeding inside. So they cauterized them and fixed them up and gave me some stuff to help that stuff heal. And then I was in the hospital for a few more days recovering, making sure I was climbing back the ladder the right way. And they finally let me go when my hemoglobin was around 9. 12 to 15 is the, I think, the acceptable range. So that's the that was the bad news. That's what happened to me, and it was no fun. But remember, your doctor tells you to go to the ER. Go when they tell you to go to the ER. So, because I could have literally, my hemoglobin could have dropped. I could have had a, my heart could have stopped that night before I went. And I don't know if any of you have all ever been dead before, but once you're dead, you're pretty dead. So, I got treated the next day, thank goodness. Now that was the bad news, and but they I had good doctors and good staff, and they got me where I needed to be. And I'm trying to think if there was some other detail. Let me see here. Yeah, I think that's all that I have on that one on the bad news. Now the good news is, concerning my stroke, is I can walk again. Okay, now I can't walk fast. I have to take my time, and but I don't need my walker and I don't need a cane. But I still do use my cane sometimes in case it's in a treacherous area or a place I'm not real familiar with, or I just don't feel so hot. I can sometimes, like last night when I went to bed, I had hadn't been doing anything wrong or anything. I was just tired. I was very tired, and I got up and I used my cane to go to bed because I was sleepy and I didn't want to have an accident. Now, I've had 3 bad falls since I've been home, and they're painful, and I have to wait for the EMTs to come get me off the ground because I'm a pretty big guy, and Jen can't get me up. And I think, well, what's the big deal about getting off the ground? Well, when half your body is so weak, it's useless. You can't use your left arm, you can't use your left leg, so you're trying to lift your whole body up with your right arm and your right leg. It just don't work. You can exhaust yourself doing that. So that's the bad news. With that, not bad news, but that's the thing you got to watch out for. But the good news is I am walking. And let me tell you how it happened. I was in my living room and I had to go to the bathroom. So I just stood up from my couch and walked into the bathroom and took a leak. And I was like pulling my pants down to take a leak, and I realized I just walked in here. I didn't bring a walker. I didn't bring a cane or anything. I just walked right in and did my thing. So I was pretty excited. So I'm slowly making that kind of progress. So that's good. Hand is getting stronger. Let me show you. Okay, now this is my Cush ball. I love this thing for grip, and let me show you why. It's not only does it feel good, but I showed it to you before. You can squeeze it and make these things come out. Now, when I first started playing with this thing, I couldn't get anything with my left hand, and now I can get a few. See? And that's helped with my guitar playing. I don't have anything impressive to show you with guitar right now. I'm still working on it. I've had to again make some adjustments, and I'm not entirely happy with with what I'm getting yet. But I'll when I make some better progress, I'll show you. I don't want to show you the same boring things I'm doing over and over. What's frustrating about that is knowing what your fingers were capable of and working hard just to get them back to where they were. And that's it can be demotivating, but there's no easy way around it. So I'm sticking with it. But anyway, Wranglers, that's my health update. And so there you have it. And if you got any questions, let me know. And let's keep positive thoughts out there for everybody. And listen to your doctor. So, my Wranglers, till the next roundup, take it easy.